We appreciate the holistic approach that we consider the most important approach both for Nutrilite and for Milan.
There are so many things that we have in common with AC Milan. I think really our overall philosophies are very similar, ours being optimal health, and they want the same things for their players. They want them to have optimal performance or peak performance, and they go about that in a similar manner with scientific rigor.
All the projects we perform, as well as Nutrilite does, are evidence-based, so we believe only in data, and on this approach we work, and we work together with Nutrilite.
They look at how they train their players from a lot of different points of view, so it's not just athletics or training in the gym, but they look at the mental state as well as the physical state and the biochemical state. And that's very similar to the way we look at optimal health. It's not just about throwing a supplement at somebody, it's about looking at the whole person and what creates wellness.
A continuous feedback of data we collect on the players and of evaluation that the Nutrilite experts perform are one of the most important goals we reach in this collaboration.
From the beginning, they shared a lot of information with us about the players, so we got a lot of information about their training status, their health habits, their dietary intake. We also got a lot of lab work, so we had nutrient status. We also did genetics tests on the players, and based on that information we were able to provide very detailed personalized reports for each player. And so we collaborated with the physicians. We provided them with all of these recommendations for macronutrients, micronutrients, and supplementation. So they could take that to the players and help the players to be able to train harder, smarter, and better.
Also the players appreciate very much this kind of integration in their nutrition plan. Not all the players use to eat vegetables. And for this reason we use the supplementation coming from Nutrilite for a particular kind of supplementation, introducing vegetables and fruit.
Without the cooperation with Nutrilite, we couldn't introduce this really important testing approach to our players. So we know that we improve our knowledge in a very effective way with this step.
Milan Lab is a new approach to the football, to the soccer, and to every kind of sports. The data we collect is biochemical data, and so it is a biochemical evaluation for a single player.
All the training sessions are recorded in a video, and then this video is transformed in information measuring how many meters every player runs, how many times he kicks the ball, and so on. All the information starting from blood testing performed also on the field by point of care system, including what the players eat in the restaurant of the training center every day.
Not only the technical, not only the mental, but also the nutrition assessment is very important for being a good player.
What you do with your diet is critically important, particularly when it comes to glycogen stores. So for example, the types of carbohydrates that you consume and when you consume those carbohydrates immediately after activity, at least within the first 30 minutes, and then again every 2 hours, is critically important because there's certain enzymes that are elevated. So that's something that we've absolutely worked with them on.
From this data, we can derive all the information useful for continuing to improve the efficiency of the players.
It's an evaluation to prevent injuries in players and to have a team completely well trained for all the season.
Both teams, Nutrilite and DC Milan, can cooperate very strictly to reach the established goal as rapid and as effective as possible.
The player trains every day for 34 hours daily, and he has a match once or twice a week. And for this reason we have to check accurately which kind of nutrition each player has to follow, and for this reason also the nutrition is individualized for each player.
Nutrilite can help with not only providing tablets but also for providing information on its effectiveness, and this evidence-based approach is greatly appreciated by the players.
With player nutritional consulting, we provide a lot of information. It's based on data that we gather from the players and in collaboration with the physicians. Based on all of that information, we can make nutrient recommendations, dietary recommendations, supplement recommendations, and we can make very detailed, personalized reports for each player. So not only can we say how many calories they need for their training status, but we can also say how many grams of carbohydrate they need, when they should consume it, before, during, and after training. And this is all really critical to performance of an elite athlete.
Many of the players change completely the approach to the nutrition, and they understood very well that it's important not only training but also training at the table.
The AC Milan players, just like you and I, have obstacles to making change. Supplementation for some is a new behavior. Making dietary changes is a new behavior. Eating vegetables may be a new behavior, and just like we struggle with making dietary changes, they struggle with that too.
Each player asks every morning arriving in the center what is the plan for the training, but also what he's going to hit the table to performing well.
They're lucky in that they have a network, they have a support system, they have the physicians, they have their trainers, they have a support system. And just like us, we need a support system if we're going to make changes in our dietary practices or any health behavior change for that matter. You need to have a support system.
Each person, each amateur has to approach his training in a personalized manner, and following a good training, a good individualized training, but also a good integration concerning not only nutrition but also supplementation.
Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas. I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and I'd like to talk about peak performance and nutrition. When it comes to performing your best you have to think about your nutrition. There is no possible way to be the best you can be if you don't pay attention to what you're consuming, what you're eating, and supplementation. So when we think about a good healthy foundation, that requires adequate amount of calories, that requires proper amount of carbohydrates and the proper type of carbohydrates, protein, and the right types of fats. So we want to have a good healthy foundation, and then you fill in the gaps with supplements to help you reach that peak or optimal performance. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas. I'm a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today we're going to be talking about performance and nutrients, particularly speaking about carbohydrate and the benefits that it provides and how detrimental it is if you're not adequately consuming carbohydrates. It's important not only to consume it before, but you need it during and after exercise as well. And you need it to replenish your stores in your muscles and in your liver because it gives you energy. And not only does it fuel the muscles, but it also fuels the brain. And there's a theory that's called the central nervous system fatigue. And when this happens, when the brain's not getting enough glucose or the levels start to go down, and glucose is the form of carbohydrate when it's broken down in the body, and when the brain starts sensing lower levels of glucose, some of the chemicals in the brain like dopamine and serotonin, these are involved in pleasure and mood. When we start to see these get a little bit imbalanced, you start to sense decrease in mood, decrease in motivation, and you also start to have some influences on the ability to contract the muscles properly, or neuromuscular facilitation. And so when we give that carbohydrate and we bring those levels back up to an adequate level, you start to see some of these negative changes go away. And when you think of people like soccer players, and we do a lot of work with the AC Milan soccer team, we know that this is critically important, especially to fast reaction. You've got to think fast, you've got to move fast, and you've got to have a very quick reaction time, and you've also got to be motivated to keep pushing through some of that discomfort and keep playing and making good, wise, tactical decisions. So carbohydrate is going to be key in playing your best. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas, and I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today we are going to talk about calories and sport performance, or just calories in general, and how many calories do you need. There are simple equations that you can use to help you determine what your caloric needs are, and the ultimate goal is to help you to maintain an adequate or appropriate body weight. And so to simply determine calories, you might use the equation multiplying your body weight, if you're a female, by 10 in pounds, and if you're a male, multiply your body weight in pounds by 11. Then we would multiply in an activity factor, and that can help you calculate your calorie needs. Now, if you wanted to lose weight, you could subtract 250 to 500 calories from that value, and that would give you half a pound to a pound of weight loss per week. Now, when it comes to sport performance, calories are really important. If the athlete isn't consuming enough calories, then they're going to be low in nutrient intake. Their protein may be too low, which would prevent them from recovering properly from activity. They can't build and repair their tissues the way they need to. If they're not getting enough carbohydrate, they're not going to have the energy they need to sustain the activity and to replenish stores to fuel the next day's activity or a match, for example. If they're not getting adequate fat, they can't replenish certain tissues. So we need to have adequate calories so that we can train properly and that we can recover properly and that we can feel good when we're exercising. And then when we look to the other extreme, if we're taking in too many calories, then we're going to impede performance there too. And we might actually increase risk of injury if we have too heavy a load for our joints to withstand. So it's critically important for an athlete to not only maintain that ideal body weight, but they also need to maintain a certain body fat percent. Because when it really comes down to it, it's that percent fat that's really the driver of health and performance. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas, and I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today we are going to talk about protein. And in the media, people portray protein as the best nutrient ever, and it is critically important to performance. That is true. We need protein to build and repair our tissues, but you may be surprised at how much you actually need. Most people actually consume even 2 to 3 times more protein than they need, and they oftentimes are getting that from animal sources. And those animal sources also contribute some saturated fat, which is not good for our health. So when we look at how much protein we actually need, the RDA is only 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight. Now when we talk about an athlete, and I'm not talking about somebody that's just out there going to an aerobics class a couple days a week, we're talking about a serious athlete, an elite athlete. And if you're talking about an endurance athlete, let's say somebody that runs marathons, their recommendation for protein is 1.2 to 1.4 grams per kilogram body weight, as compared to the sedentary adult, which is 0.8. So not a huge difference there. And the average Joe that's going to the gym a couple days a week, they're typically consuming much greater quantities of protein. Now, if somebody is a power athlete or they want to improve muscle mass, then their protein needs are going to be even a little higher. So typically we would recommend anywhere between about 1.4 to 1.8. But above that 1.8 grams per kilogram body weight, you don't really see much impact on performance. And you also have to deal with the nitrogen component that you find in protein, and you have to excrete that through your urine. So you can actually have some calcium loss and some fluid loss, which could lead to a little bit of dehydration. So you have to be careful when you're consuming high amounts of protein because of some of those negative effects and the saturated fat that might be coming from the excess animal proteins. So take a look at how much you're consuming, because if you're like the average person, you're probably getting way too much. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas, and I am a research scientist here at the Nutrilite Health Institute. And today we are going to talk about fat, and not body fat, but dietary fat, and what types of fats are healthy, and what types of fats should we maybe reduce or stay away from almost altogether. So when we talk about different types of fats, they really are very different. There are some types of fats that are really good for you. When we differentiate between the types of fats, we usually talk about the saturated fats and the unsaturated fats. And the saturated fats, these are the ones that are solid, typically at room temperature. So you think about like butter or lard. And these are the ones that can actually increase your unhealthy or your lousy cholesterol, like your LDL cholesterol. Whereas the unsaturated fats, or the monounsaturated or the polyunsaturated, can actually have some health benefits. Now, they still have a lot of energy, meaning they have a lot of calories, so we still have to modify how much we consume, but we really want to incorporate those into our diet. Well, monounsaturated fats you get from things like avocados and some of your nuts, and your polyunsaturated fats you get from things like fish. So when you hear the term omega-3 fatty acids, those are polyunsaturated fats. And these provide you a lot of health benefits, a lot of protection. There's a lot of cardiovascular health benefits. So we typically will recommend people eat at least a couple servings of fish. If somebody doesn't like fish, or if they have maybe known risk for some cardiovascular disease, we might want to recommend even higher amounts and supplementation. Sometimes people get confused and they think any fish is going to provide an adequate amount of omega-3 fats, and that's not the case. You have to get certain types of fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring. Those are the types of fish that have high amounts of omega-3 fatty acids. So if you're not consuming on a regular basis at least a couple days a week of these types of fish, you need to be supplementing. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas. I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today we are going to talk about proper hydration, and specifically I'd like to talk about sports drinks. And one of the things that people ask me oftentimes is, what product would you recommend for sports performance? And the very first thing that always comes to my mind is sports drink, because they are tailored to actually drive you to drink, and they actually stimulate the thirst mechanism when they're properly designed, as our product is. When they're properly designed, they actually will stimulate the thirst mechanism, so you will ingest more fluid, so you can replace not only the carbohydrates that you need to replace, but you also replace electrolytes like sodium and potassium that can be depleted with a hard training session. Now, does everybody need to drink a sports drink? No. If you are exercising very intensely or for over 60 to 90 minutes, then that's the product for you. You need to replenish those fluids and the carbohydrate and electrolytes. If you're exercising less intensely or for short durations, then plain water is perfectly fine. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas. I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today we are going to talk about fruits and vegetables. Why do we need fruits and vegetables? What's the benefit? Well, I can tell you, one is it keeps you alive. When you look at some of the statistics that have come out of the World Health Organization, there are actually 2.7 million deaths every year that are attributed to lack of fruit and vegetable intake. And every time I hear the statistic or tell people of that statistic, it's staggering to me. One of the reasons that fruits and vegetables provide us protection, well, not only because it provides so much nutrition, vitamins and minerals, but they also provide us with phytonutrients. When you look at a plant and you see those rich, vibrant colors, the reds, the greens, the yellows, the purples, the blues, we know that those are containing high phytonutrients, and they actually protect the plant, and they provide that color that you see in the plant. But they also protect us, and they have a lot of health benefits. So one of the things that they do for us is they can act as an antioxidant. And antioxidants provide a lot of protection because they protect us against free radicals. Free radicals, if you think of the word radical, it's like it's something that's unstable. It's a molecule that's unstable, and it basically goes out and it steals what it doesn't have, and it causes damage to our tissues, to our cells, and even to our DNA. And so we need to stop these free radicals, and antioxidants do that. If we are not consuming enough fruits and vegetables, and thereby not getting enough antioxidants, then we actually don't have the protection we need to stop the free radicals. And we can't stay away from free radicals. Free radicals are we get them from our environment, from pollution, from smoke, even just our own metabolism, just exercising or breathing for that matter. We produce free radicals. So we need to consume fruits and vegetables to provide us those antioxidants to protect us from the free radical damage. Hi, I'm Dr.Micheline Vargas. I am a research scientist here at Nutrilite, and today's topic is why supplement. First of all, nobody has a perfect diet, and when you look at just the statistics of fruit and vegetable intake, it's pretty pathetic. And you look at the United States, only about 1/4 of the population or less is consuming even the minimum 5 servings. And today, many of the organizations are recommending 9 to even 13 servings a day. So when we look at the inadequate intakes of healthy foods in our diets, and we look at the enormous amount of unhealthy foods in our diets with fast foods and processed foods and refined carbohydrates and sugar sweetened beverages, we're lacking so much in our nutrient intake and nutrient density that we need to fill those gaps in with supplements. And again, even for the person that has a pretty healthy diet, I have a pretty healthy diet, but my diet's not perfect. And there are certainly days where, I need something extra. And there are days when I'm gonna miss something. So we wanna help fill in those gaps with the supplements. It's not replacing the diet. You still want to strive to have that good, healthy foundation, absolutely, but you want to fill in the gaps with the supplements and reach for that optimal healthy diet.